priest has infringed human rights. That is what I understand the cases are all about. But I don't know the details of what exactly the charges are. Sorry, I can't help you there. But I think we'll know in due course. Probably we'll get more. The news will filter through sometime. Yes. Mm. Well, he didn't entrust them with the pure lineage. He entrusted both the lay people and the priesthood with the pure lineage. That's very clear in the Gosha. Uh, but he also stated what a priest should be, as I say, the qualities that a priest should be. And in quite a natural way, because of the function of a priest and the function of the layperson being so different, therefore it was natural in a way that the priest should particularly be responsible for maintaining the correctness of the teachings. This was a logical thing for a priest to do because he was there sitting in a temple surrounded by books all day, whereas the layperson is carrying on with his ordinary secular life. But in fact, Nichiren Daishonin entrusted both the lay people and the priests to practice faith correctly. Bosho were addressed mostly, in fact, to lay people. Some were addressed to priests, but mostly to lay people. So this is the important point about this Buddhism, that Nichiren Daishonin treated the lay people and the priests absolutely equally and made very clear that all were equal, that there should be no discrimination between man or woman or layperson or priest. But this is the way the influences, historical influences, have corrupted the priests and placed them on a pedestal, as it were, on a level higher than the ordinary people. Do you follow? Does that answer satisfy you? Because we have direct access to the kosher, which, as you heard this morning, prior to Mr. Toda, that wasn't the case. The lay people did not have direct access, but now we have. So, of course, there are very great people in terms of study of the Gosha amongst the lay people now, as well as the priests. So, yes, we are equipped. And I often wonder whether we might end up with some sort of debate, but I don't think the priests would do it because they have never tried to state categorically evidence from the Gosho that what they're doing and saying and acting is right by Nichiren Daishonin's teachings. They've always refused to do it so far. Yes. Other questions? Right?
Right. I hear the word, 23.
Yeah?
I hear the word Ichinen mentioned quite a lot, mostly to do with determinations. Where does Ichinen come from? Is it one of the 10 worlds? And how can I summon forth my own Ichinen?
Oh, that's great. Shall we repeat it again?
I hear the word Ichinen mentioned quite a lot, mostly to do with determinations. Where does Ichinen come from? Is it one of the 10 worlds? And how can I summon forth my own Ichinen?
Well, the word Ichnen, it is a Chinese word originally, or a Chinese character, and then it became used by the Japanese. But in terms of Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism, it is central to the principle of Ichinen Sanzen. Ichinen Sanzen, 3,000 states of life in one moment of existence, right? So, what is this Ichinen Sanzen? Ichinen Sanzen is an explanation of the incredible power which one individual human being has in terms of influencing the environment. Of course, that influence could be for the worse or for the better, but nevertheless, the power of each individual is tremendous. So in the theory of Ichinen Sanzen, Ichinen meaning that single moment of life, right? What the principle is teaching is that at any given moment, whatever your state of life is expressed with colossal power from your Ichinen, right? Your Ichinen meaning the desire or wish or determination which is central in your life, which is another way of putting it loosely is in your heart, very core of your life. So the theory of Ichinen Sanzen sounds complicated, but it isn't. So let me just try and explain it to you very briefly. As you know, Buddhism teaches the existence of 10 states of life, right? And we all know they begin with hell and end with Buddhahood, but we enter into those states in a higgledy-piggledy way. The first 6, hell, hunger, anger, animality, tranquility, and rapture, we move into those worlds through influences from outside us. And then the last 4 higher worlds, as they're called, that is to say, learning, partial enlightenment or partial realization, bodhisattva, and Buddhahood. They're called higher worlds because we have to make effort to get into them. Right? So those 10 worlds, we are then taught, each possess the 10 worlds within them. So in other words, even for a person at the moment in the state of hell, Buddhahood still exists in them, potentially. So does anger, hunger, learning, and all the rest of the 10. And likewise, if you even the Buddha has hell, hunger, anger, and so on within him or her. So, of course, the significance of that is that a Buddha is a human being. He has the other 9 worlds in him. But because he's activated his Buddhahood, he can turn all those other life states from their negative aspect to their positive aspect. So an example often used is because it's easily understandable, is anger, which can be turned into a powerful passion for peace or whatever the subject is. So 10 worlds by the 10 multiplied by the 10 that are within each of those worlds makes 100. And whatever life state you're in of those 10, they're expressed through what are known as the 10 factors. The 10 factors, if I can get them in their right order and remember them all, are first of all, you will express that life state in your physical appearance, in your spiritual inner realm, and also you will express it at the very heart and core of your life. Your whole life, therefore, will be expressing that world of anger or whatever you may be in. And then the next is influence. That next state of life will then have influence to everything around you as well as within yourself, right? And that influence has power, which is the next factor, right? A powerful influence on your environment, and again, within yourself. So if you go into an office and you're really fuming with anger, it'll affect everybody powerfully. They may resent it tremendously. You may make them angry too, and so on. So it's influence and power. And then the next one is through that influence and power of that life state, you will make an inherent cause which will become in due course an external cause or manifest cause, right? Deep down in your life, you make a cause because of that life state. And inevitably, that will create an action which is on the surface of life, right? That's the manifest cause. And the manifest cause, that action on the surface of life, will then inevitably, because of the simultaneousness or simultaneity of cause and effect, the moment you make that manifest cause, you are establishing an inherent effect lodged deep in your life and deep in another person's life. Both, you are creating an inherent effect which will live on, right? Multiply the 100 world within worlds by 10 factors, that's 1,000. And that in turn totally affects the three realms, which are the realm of yourself, your inner self, that is, the realm of your environment or society that exists around you, and the realm of the land on which you are living and others are living who surround you. So, in other words, the influence is colossal. We can't, of course, see this or even feel this consciously, but what this theory called Nichiren Sanzen is teaching is that your influence as a human being is unbelievably enormous, though we often can't believe that. And the most important point, of course, in this theory of Nichiren Sanzen is that if through this practice you activate your Buddha state, then it is your Buddha state which is expressing itself in those 3,000 different ways through the 10 factors every moment of your life. This is an extraordinary thought. So Ichinen is unbelievably powerful, that life moment in which you express your life at that point in time. Do you follow? So Ichinen, in other words, is or should be, if you're really practicing and always trying to advance your life, your Ichinen will contain tremendous determinations. This is why in Buddhism we always talk about targets, the value of having targets. You achieve one target and then you start to make your next target, because those targets help to concentrate our Ichinen, where we want to get to. I've gone talking for a long time about this, but I just say one other thing, because it is an important related principle. By the way, I should have said also, of course, that you then link Ichinen Sanzen, links with that other principle of the inseparability of oneself and one's environment. In other words, if your life is in the Buddha state, then the environment will react back to you in the Buddha state. Not consciously, of course, but it will. If you're angry, then your environment will act back to you, reflect back to you that anger. So the important thing is to have one's Ichinen in the right life state. And then it's Buddhahood that will be reflected back to you. This is the incredible importance, really, of regular practice. Because if we do practice regularly and manage to sustain it, we sustain the workings of our Buddha state. And that is what is existing at the heart of our lives, or in the Ichinen of our lives. So Ichinen is enormously powerful. Okay, everybody, can you sort of understand that? Great. Well, I wanted to just mention one more point. It'll take me another 5 minutes. Is it all right? Just very quickly, because it relates to Ichinen Sanzen. There is a principle which is called Kyo. This is in characters, right? Kyo, Chi, Gyo, Gyo, and E. E is just the letter I. Kyo, Chi, Gyo, E. So, Kyo is your ultimate aim, right? And Chi is each one of you with the wisdom and power of the Gohonzon, right? That could also, you could also say, you and your Ichinen. And then Gyo is the action you need to take to achieve the aim. And E is the contacts or people you need to know, status it's usually called, which you need to establish in your life to get to that aim. So Nichiren Daishonin's teaching is, so far as the last two, Gyo and E, don't worry about them. Gyo, don't worry. E, don't worry. That's how to get there and who you should know to get there. What matters, Nichiren Daishonin said, is Kyo and Chi. Your Ichinen focused on your aim, right? So in other words, you chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, expressing your prayers or wish, that ultimate aim, with your whole life, with your whole Ichinen. And that is what matters. Through having an open, as it were, connection between that ultimate aim, or as I sometimes call it, golden vision, and you and your Gohonzon, how to get there will be the job of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. In other words, how to get there will arise from your Buddha wisdom. And quite naturally, you'll find yourself taking the right steps to lead you there, often quite unconsciously, sometimes consciously, often unconsciously. You'll do this or that. You'll decide to ring this person suddenly on an inspiration, and you do so. And something comes from that and so on. So, in other words, our concern is that we keep in our Ichinen that ultimate aim or golden vision that we want to achieve. Then the Buddha state can work freely and show us how to get there, as well as who to know to get there. Do you follow? So thinking, trying to work it out in our heads, since we don't know the future, will never work. Thinking, too much thinking blocks wisdom. But of course, we can't help thinking. We have to think sometimes. But when it comes to that sort of goal, which is something in the future, where you have no or very few facts to base your hopes on winning through to it, nothing is necessary in terms of thinking. You get there through activating the wisdom of the Gohonzon and making sure there's no blockage between your mind and your Ichinen and the Gohonzon, and that your Daimoku has a free run, not set up by a whole lot of thinking. Okay, so that relates very much to Ichinen Sanzen. In other words, it's the power of that principle of Ichinen Sanzen at work which enables you to achieve your aim without having to worry about how actually to get there. In other words, I suppose you could say, to sum it up, you just give the thing to the Gohonzon and chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, never allowing it, though, to slip out of your Ichinen. So in the fourth prayer of Gongyo, you have the opportunity to express your personal prayers, right? So speaking personally anyway, where I have established a determination or a target, to lodge it firmly in my ichinen or in my heart, I try to remember it, sort of to verbalize it in a way, but to remember it in your mind in that fourth prayer. Every day in morning gongya. Is that thing in my ichinen still? No, it isn't. Pull it back into your heart, into the center of your life in that fourth prayer. And then gradually, if you do that consistently, as it were, forcing it back into your ichinen each day, after about a week or two of doing that each morning, it'll be better. Nothing will shake it. All right, everyone. I'm really sorry we can't answer more questions, but I do promise you that it'll take time because each division, we're keeping all the questions that were raised by every member. And as there were nearly 300 people on most courses, we're going to have an awful lot of questions, but it's going to be a great guide for us to make decisions about what sort of articles to put into the UK Express, into the bulletin, what sort of points should come out and be explained during chapter study and so on. So every one of your questions is going to be important. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.